Excellent. Okay. So, hi guys. This is actually take 2 of the episode with me and Ram on It's Not You, It's Me. We actually had a fantastic episode the first time round. It was such a good flow, wonderful. And then when we got off, it wasn't actually recorded in the end. So thanks for being so great about it, Ram, because my heart was beating so fast. Like, she's going to think I didn't respect her time and what have you. And I was like, she's not going to come back because she's going to be like, how unprofessional is that?
No, not at all. It was a really, as you said, it was a great conversation. I think life has a way of working out, you know, sometimes you've got to get these things out of your system before you're really ready for the real thing. So no problem. We're here and that's all that matters. It's about being present and embracing it. So yeah.
Defo. And the whole, as I've spoken to you about before, the whole notion of this is completely changed. Mm-hmm. Rather than going with the element of what our struggles are, and you know, we constantly focus on that, and I feel like that's what I was doing as well in these conversations, focusing on struggle. And this time around I want to focus on ascension, growth, and yeah, okay, that bit is not uncomfortable, but how we move on from that. So I'm just going to dive straight in because I know what I need to know about you. It's everyone else that doesn't.
Okay.
So we're going to go for it now. So I'm going to start off with like preconceived ideas of what life should be. So start off with like, say, growing up at home. What was your idea about life in your younger years? How did you think it was going to go?
Coming from a cultural background, so my background is Indian Punjabi, so especially because there was a culture element involved, I was very much under this illusion that I would have to follow a specific academic route in my life, and that would mean that I would be successful. However, I mean, that was more outside noise. I was really fortunate that I had parents who, since I was young, has embraced that all their children are different and they're going to bring something different to the table. But, you know, I'm one of 6 girls. I've got 4 older sisters and 1 younger. And growing up with 4 older sisters to look up to that were all different, that all went to uni or lived out from home, that was kind of like the template that was sort of set for me.
They all did that, did they?
Yeah, they did. Actually, so 1 didn't go to uni, but she lived out. So they all had that freedom, if you like, that opportunity of living away from home and stuff. So for me, that was like what was expected as successful or like the right way. But yeah, I realized quite early on that being academic doesn't necessarily mean like being good with numbers, being good with words. You know, academia comes from so much vastness. Took me a while to get that in my head, actually, because I used to put myself down so much and be like, oh, but I'm not good with numbers, but I'm not the best at science. And so what am I good at then? And really putting myself down. And I didn't have enough encouragement with my creativity. However, you know, to be fair to my parents, they had a lot of us, you know, so giving one person that attention was a lot to ask for in those days.
They're like, have you eaten? Are you alive? Great.
And yeah, I had quite a strict upbringing in the sense that, you know, like it just wasn't like your normal like upbringing because of the cultural aspects. You know, I wasn't allowed to have boyfriends at home, and I wasn't allowed to necessarily go to just any sleepover. And so there was a lot of strict values, like strict core values that my parents held, more my dad. A lot of that, I think, came from fear with my dad, like trying to not cocoon us, but because he knew a lot, you know, beyond its realm, if you like. So I think that was his way of trying to protect his girls, when really we were just going off and doing it anyway. Like, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, if I was told I couldn't do something, that would actually egg me on to want to do it even more. It's like, you could say the rebel side of me came out, and I was like, I'm going. Screw it. If I've got to tell a white lie, I've got to tell a white lie. And I'm not encouraging anyone, by the way. I'm just saying, because there was a lot of pressure where I was told what I couldn't do, I was more intrigued of why I couldn't do it. So
yeah, absolutely. Anyway.
And actually, that's just like a known thing in Indian culture. It's like, you just go and do it. This is how you learn. This is how you grow. You've got to go do it, right? So anyway, back to your question, preconceived ideas. I just grew up realizing, well, under the illusion of success meant go to uni, get a degree in something fancy like medicine or whatever, dentistry or law or whatever, the typical stuff that they put on you know, Indian society and pressure.
Yeah.
But school and I didn't have the best relationship in that sense, because I've just always been very creative. You know, I wasn't bad at school, but equally, I think even from teachers, I didn't really get a lot of recognition, you know, apart from my English teacher. So yeah, you could say I grew up feeling like that comparison to my sisters, success meant, you know, striving to do certain job roles, if you like, that meant being the highest of the high. And then I realized actually it was actually my early 20s, I realized actually I'm living my life for myself. And I have a purpose in this life. Actually, I've got multiple purposes in this life, and I owe it to myself to delve into that. And then I obviously decided to work for myself. When I went into beauty at the time, I had a lot of people laughing at the idea of that. They were like, beauty, does that mean she's not great at books? Does that mean she's not really clever? It's a hard thing to go through, actually, because people underestimate what beauty entails. It's actually an equivalent to a science A level. You've got to know a hell of a lot about the skin and the body and God knows what. But I didn't need to justify myself anymore. The only person I had to prove it to was me. And I think the more I focused my energy on that, the more respect I gained from people around me, especially my family.
Yeah, that sounds really liberating.
Yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question, but they're the things that are coming to my mind.
You have, because it's interesting, because we've naturally, as me and Ram do, because our conversationalists 101, we naturally have gone into the next bit, which is basically, you know, when did that idea get crushed for you? You know, I know that when that idea was crushed for me, it took me back many years. I kind of froze. Because I was like, whoa, like malfunctioning robot. Like I was supposed to go this way, and it's not happening, and it's not fitting. But you know, I've got a whole different set of experiences because I'm on the autistic spectrum.
Okay, yeah.
So change for me is like, you might as well just rip my skin off while I'm awake. I just don't like it. So I'm interested to see. I'm assuming you're not on the spectrum from the time that we've been friends, and I don't pick up anything of that.
I actually think everybody's got a spectrum of autism in them, if I'm honest with you.
No, they do. It's actually proven that everybody does.
Yeah.
It's about how many pieces of the pie.
Yeah.
So if you've got more pieces, you tend to be more predispositioned.
Right.
But I'm really keen to know, because obviously I've only got my experience, like how did that change affect? Was it just because you made it sound so liberating, like, well, I just realized that I'm going to live for myself, and there was me in the corner like, it's not what I thought, and you're just like, I just said I'm going to live for myself, and that was it. So was it that simple, really?
No, it wasn't that simple. I think it took for me to find my voice. And how did I come across that? I think the people that I surrounded myself with growing up, you know, you naturally go through certain circles that help you at that time of growth. And then you have other circles and other circles. And I believe that it's always a personal choice who you choose to be around. And you have to become more knowing of that energy that you surround yourself with in life. You know, I've had friendships, you know, in my teens and early 20s that are non-existent now. And that's nothing against those people. It's just that they were right for me then. They're certainly not right for me now. And that's probably a two-way thing. It's not just them not being right for me. Maybe I'm not right for them. And that's okay. No hard feelings, right? But yeah, I come from a spiritual background as well. So that definitely helped me to surrender and trust. It wasn't easy. It wasn't just a click of a finger of it's all going to be fine. I guess I really had to start embracing the things that I enjoy. And I really enjoy making people feel good. You know, that's one of the biggest reasons why I went into beauty, if I'm honest. You know, it's a lot more than just giving someone a nice set of eyebrows. It's actually that person could have been feeling really low in themselves for an entire day or week or whatever it is. They've put their trust, their soul trust in me to look after them, to give them the slightest eyebrow tidy, and they can get off my bed and just have tears of happiness. It goes as deep as that. Because
it does. It truly does.
On a surface level, it's, all right, chill out. You've got some nice eyebrows. But on a deeper level, it's, you've actually lifted me up. You've actually given me that sense of release. And there's just so much vastness to what I do. So to me, that is a lot more rewarding than going and spending my time and money on doing a course that might not actually be my calling. You know, everybody's got their own pull in life. But I think the more I started verbalizing the importance of why I wanted to do what I do, it just became like this instant support from my family. And actually then it became a domino effect. Then people were like, oh, actually, no, you are good at what you do. And actually there's a really nice meaning behind what you do. You don't just do it just because. And, you know, as we know, a lot of people do the work that they do just because and to get by and, you know, that kind of stuff. But I learned to communicate. I learned to communicate with people around me. And I was like, well, that's all well and good for you. Like, I've got a couple of sisters that are accountants. I've got a sister that went to marketing. I've got a sister that's just newly become a police officer. And then my youngest sister's studying law. So they've all got those high spectrum jobs.
Yeah.
And there's me, you know, I'm a beauty therapist. I'm a business owner. Now, for a long time, I had to allow myself to sit with that. And I was like, but I've got my own business. That's not easy. You know, and I've made that happen and I've made that work. And I've had the support from my parents with that massively. And I'll forever be grateful to that by letting me work in their space. But I'm different and I have my own calling and I have my own stuff that I bring to the table. And it's pretty rewarding, you know, and as you say,
and that's cool. And
yeah.
and I just want to say, like, for anyone who's non-Asian or non-ethnic background that doesn't understand, like, going against the status quo and going with your heart, you know, our own cultural backgrounds don't understand why they've got problems with certain things. So
cultural backgrounds don't like change either.
They hate it, but they also, if you question them, why do you have a problem with that? They're like, well, I don't know. There's no real solid foundation to their problem.
Because they're coming from what they've been taught. It's learned behavior, right?
Totally learned behavior. It's not anyone's fault. It's not about blame. It's just about an interesting reflection from every angle, because they look down on beauty therapy in the South Asian community, but it's one of our most visited spots. And it's a multi-million-pound industry. And we just look at it like, whatever. Beauty therapists can have our own business and rake in 100K profit. But if you're a solicitor for a firm, you're not bringing that in. That's not happening for you. So it's brilliant. Well done.
Thank you. I think, like, pulling it down to a T is about communication. I think it's just communicating where you're at and actually embracing that you are going to be different to the norm. I think looking back, a part of me always knew I was not going to do things the normal way. I think a part of me knew that I was going to bring change to my family. It just took me a while to really step into that. Yeah,
but Ram, you make it look so easy.
It's not.
It's really not.
But you don't learn from easy, so no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, but it's honestly, I hope that this does inspire girls that can relate to anything of what we're saying, what we look like, how we're being, whatever it is that they want to relate to. If they can understand that this girl followed her dreams, the world didn't crumble around her, and actually she gained respect from the people around her by committing to her dream and showing them, see, I really wanted to do this and I'm good at it and I'm making it work. You know, following your dreams is easy to say, but to actually do it and show people, like, well done, girl. Well done. Yeah, excellent stuff. Because we all dream. You know, we don't all have people don't realize it takes courage, commitment, faith, and then a whole bag of fear next to it, but you just carry on anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody gets success overnight. So I can imagine when you were building things and you were like, oh my God, I still haven't really made the turnover to tell them I've proved myself finally, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's been a real big seesaw. I think anyone that's a business owner, you know, unless you're like somebody that's got a chain of stuff or you've got staff working for you, well, even that comes with its own stuff. But like, I don't have anyone working alongside me. I've been a solo, you know, since, well, it's been about 10 years now. Now, there have been times where I've done really, really well, and then it kind of goes down, then goes up, then it goes down. And life has just taught me that, you know, at the end of the day, if something isn't sitting well with you, again, I'm in charge of my own change. Now I'm in a position now that although beauty is my staple ground, I'm stepping into other stuff, you know, like I've started my own podcast series that's fairly new. And, you know, I decided to start learning to teach English as a foreign language. You know, I'm just stepping into stuff because I think life is such a beautiful journey that I believe that you shouldn't have to feel like you're just doing one thing in your life. And I don't actually think you know enough of what you're capable of until you start to delve into change. And it's a little bit scary. It's a little bit like, oh, I don't know where this is going to go, but just enjoy it, and it will all unfold the way it's meant to. And you'll naturally gravitate to the arena that is meant for you at that time, whether it's long-lived, short-lived, So I just think it's never too late to start over, and it's never too late to make a change.
Yeah. The irony about this is you have to relax in the most uncomfortable of environment.
Yeah.
For it to work. Otherwise, if your intention and you're not aligned with it, it never comes up like that. And I think that's where a lot of people fail to follow their dreams, because the internal alignment isn't there. So, you're putting milk into a dirty glass and then wondering why the milk is brown, and it's getting frustrating and you're going round and round. So that internal alignment is actually, it's bravery. It takes a lot of bravery to say, this is what I am and this is how I feel. It's what I'm going to do. And what you said just now about not doing one thing, I'm the same as you. And I've been so all over the place that I've had people at conferences, aside from my working career, I'm talking about my social media, my creating side. All of them have been like, what do you do? And I'm like, and I felt really nervous. I felt like I don't have an answer for that. That is succinct. And that's just going to make it look like I'm a nothinger because I'm not specifically about one thing. And I then had my surgery and all this stuff. And I realized this was meant to happen. This was meant to be recorded today, because what you said has just pinched me here, that I don't do just one thing. And I changed my bio, because I am a corporate executive. I am an investor. I am a connector. I am neurodivergent. I do like speaking. All of these things can be in one person.
Of course they can. Yeah.
And I've never felt comfortable enough to be all the shades of me, because it's just like, well, just be an engineer and shut up.
No thanks.
Yeah, if you're just that one thing, I understand how to deal with you.
Yeah.
But when you're all these things, I think, again, learned behavior, if you're so dynamic, and our culture is now breeding all these dynamic, up and coming first, second, third generation South Asians. We've got the Lily Singhs and the Bod Mod Zaid, and all these girls, they're following the dreams, exactly how you've just described. You've gone out of your way to do it. And in your early 20s, I was just a mess in my early 20s. I didn't even know what the hell was going on.
See, for me, that period was like my teens, really. I think from age 16 to 19, they were quite poignant years for me, in the sense of I really had to get a lot of stuff out of my system. And then when I say early 20s, I'm talking literally like 22, 23. And then I was kind of like, I didn't have that normal, by 30 years old, I need to be doing this and I need to have this much money in the bank and stuff. You crossed my mind because, again, social pressure. And then especially when you're around people of your certain age group and they're like on, I don't know, 30, 40K, and then they're probably on a lot more now. And you're kind of like, crap, I'm not there. I ain't done that. But that's just the negatives, just trying to weigh you down and actually make you dismiss all the positives that you have created in your life. There's much more, to life than how much money you're making and what you've got to show for it. Actually, when you think about what you've got to show in life, it's what are you doing to make a difference, actually, because there's always a time and a place for these things. So when I look back on my journey so far, it's very easy, like I said, to just let that outside noise make you question yourself sometimes. And you're like, okay, well, what am I doing? What have I got to show for it? And it's like, no, actually, when I think about what life has taught me and who I was then and who I am becoming now, it's always a time to celebrate that.
Yeah. And this is the perfect time for it, what you're saying, because we're in an age of being de-influenced.
Yeah.
So all this, what you're saying, felt like an indoctrination from the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're in a different phase. The earth goes through cycles. We go through awakening cycles. that it's happened consistently. So I don't know why we're shocked, just because it's happened in different countries all around the world in different ways, but it still happens.
Yeah.
And then the earth goes through its cycle. We've been told the earth has gone into ice ages and floods and fires and all sorts of things to regenerate itself. So now we're starting to realize that all those, I'm going to go doctors, engineers, because it is their South Asian status quo. They're the most depressed, unhappy, and unfulfilled individuals. And now those same parents are looking at their grandkids and looking at their kids and going, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't matter what letters you've got at the end of your name, because my son has CEO, PhD, whatever the hell it is, but he's got clinical depression and he doesn't want to spend time with us. What is the point of that?
Exactly.
There is none.
Some people, if you've got a calling for that, by the way, like, we're certainly not dismissing people that are like doctors and engineers and stuff like that. If that's your calling and it literally satisfies you, literally, I applaud you. Like, that's great. It's amazing that you're doing that.
It's got to be.
It's got to hit your core value, and it's got to come from that passion, and if that's something you're meant to do, it's great. It's like my little sister studying to do law. It's a very hard course that she's studying, but she's naturally like a perfectionist, and she's so determined, and the passion has been there since day dot. The way she's always spoken about law, she's got the fire in her to be a very good lawyer and to fight for good causes. So when I look at that, I'm like, do you know what? Actually, some people are really meant to do this line of work.
Yes.
But for a lot of people, especially when they're in this cultural society, it's like, it's the pressure of, it's the done thing. Well, I might as well do it because I'm keeping the parents happy, I'm keeping the grandparents happy, I'm keeping everybody else happy. No, you're at work a lot more than you are at home.
Oh.
You got to be happy to a degree. You might not be, who likes work, right? Let's be honest. Like, we all would prefer to be doing other things, holidays, chilling out, whatever. But, you've got to work for the things that you want in life. Nothing comes free. We know that. But you've got to be feeling, we all deserve to feel somewhat good when we're working. And that's why we're really lucky. We live in a day and age where there's a lot of opportunity now and options that our parents never had,
That's true. That's true. I mean, I remember my dad saying that when he first arrived in the country, my mum became pregnant with me quite quickly. Mm. So as soon as he sort of I think he got a job at the local KFC. And at that time, local for him was walking 5 miles to and from work. And you're like, oh God, walking 5 miles. I wouldn't even get a bus 5 miles. I'd be like, no, I'm getting in my car. I'm not, and having to walk and knowing that, okay, well, my shoes are broken, duct tape is going under it, and we're going to wait for another 2 salaries before we get shoes. My mum secretly did mini cabbing at night.
Wow.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Only when I'm older now that mum's like, do you remember those drives? Because I've said it to her. Remember those drives with the music at night? And then mum's like, well, now you're old enough for me to tell you I was actually mini cabbing. And I'm like, wow, that's dangerous. Mm. With a baby, a young woman in the early 90s in the middle of the night, because in the daytime she did her day job.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of opportunities. And I think sometimes when you mix a lot of options and a lot of freedom in one, so at first we were pinned down too much, and now we're left to fly and we don't know where to anchor ourselves.
Yeah. It's finding that middle ground, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm getting I'm getting this energy from you that the grounding is not in other things. Why are you putting your pin down? The pin's here. I am the anchor.
Yeah, it's true, actually. I didn't see it like that.
And that's what I've got from what you were just saying. Because we've tried to anchor ourselves in it. Like, I'm going to attach myself to that idea or that notion or that man or this marriage. But actually, no. Yeah. That's what Ram has taught me today. I am the anchor.
That's true, though. It is. You are the creator of your own life. Everything else around you is literally, it's there. They're stepping stones. They're teaching tactics. It's up to you how you let the play pan out.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I just want to say, guys, that this isn't actually just podcast recording fluff. You know, we've actually been in scenarios where we've recorded, it hasn't gone right. We've figured out a date, it's been cancelled. We're going to do it, we're not going to do it. I'm about to do it, I'm in hospital. I've come out, I'm okay. Then I'm in Barcelona. And during this whole time, because I will analyze people in a quite different way. You know, now we're older and we see things differently. You are actually a very aligned individual, because not once in those times of, oh God, it's all going all over the place, you haven't changed. And I think, guys, that's an important factor to realize. If you want to follow your dreams and make them work for you, you're the anchor, and you have to hold yourself down in the morals and the codes that come out from your gob. Not just saying it, actually doing it. And when you say you lead a spiritual life, I've seen every reaction of yours be very much anchored in that.
Thank you.
You're very alive person, Ram, and it's an amazing thing. I can't wait to post this, because girls, get learning, get writing. Oh, her podcast.
Get your notepad out.
Get Real with Ram. Get Real with Ram on Spotify. Go check it out. So, okay, so the reality hitting you thing. I mean, if you ask me, you're lucky to get that when you did, because people out here in their mid-40s having, the midlife crisis is their usual realization that, hold on a minute, I don't want to be doing what I'm doing. So that's a blessing. I think it's a result of our generation. Our parents did a lot of the graft, so we don't have to be in survival mode, and we can explore our dreams. So even though we have criticized the previous generation in many ways, we've acknowledged its learned behavior, and that their efforts is the reason why you can pursue beauty, why you can record this with me today, why I can record it with you, because my granddad and my dad and my mum, they did all that survival level work. And that's brilliant. That's amazing. So how do you think, do your preconceived notions still bother you today? Like, as you're going on, do you still have to fight that behind demon?
It's a really good question. I think the only thing that I kind of start sinking into sometimes is it's not so much anymore, but sometimes comparing myself to other people, I'm going to put my hands up to that. It's going back to what I said before, which was like comparing where other people are at in their life. And that's not, by the way, that is not me not focusing on gratitude for what I have got in my life. I'm not saying that at all. It's just that negative noise that is there to throw you off course. Because guess what? When things are going all smooth sailing and like things are good, that's when it's really going to test you. Something's going to come along and sort of like, she's a little bit too happy at the moment. I'm actually just going to probe her, and I'm going to see how she reacts to that. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're human, we're here, we're learning life lessons. You're never always going to get it right. But as time is going on, I'm really working a lot better with that. And what helps me stay really neutral and focused to not let that consume me like I once did is really focusing on gratitude. You know, it's the things that a lot of people just miss, like my family, you know, my family, my friends, my partner, like, you know, so many things that I'm like, without these people in my life, I'd be very different. And actually, the more I focus on that, there's not enough room for that negative noise to enter my mind.
Brilliant. And I love how you explain that, because I feel like I've read a lot of things about gratitude, and they don't explain why and how and the effect of it. They just tell you to be grateful and send you on your way. Like, no, there's a methodology behind gratefulness.
Yeah, totally.
And it requires, I think your spiritual background probably anchors you in that even more, because that really, it kind of teaches you to be more flowy with life than rigid, because that rigidity is, you know, it's what snaps you in the end.
Can I be honest? My spirituality definitely helps me with that. But, and his head's going to get big when he listens to this, but it's actually my partner that's really helped me more so with that in this time that we've been together. He's a free spirit. That's the best way to describe him, is he's a free spirit, and he's a very much go with the flow. Whereas I'm naturally an organizer and a planner. So you can imagine we both balance each other out in a really good way. But when I can be rigid, he's like, bloody hell, woman, be like water, be fluid, go with the flow. And I'm reminded.
But when he's like water, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And when he's a little bit too much like, let's just go the flow and we don't have to book a table. I'm like, yeah, you do. So
I want to eat. So we're booking a table.
I want to go somewhere for good food, goddammit. And if they tell me they can't fit me in, it's because I need to book a table.
And then it's your head. Yeah.
You've got to have a balance. You can't be too much of anything.
That's right. And I think if I reflect back on my teenage years and the most destructive part of my life, you know, it's an interesting hormonal cycle. It's a lesson. It's a lesson because we are too much of everything at that age. And I think then when we calm down a bit, we're like, oh, I didn't like that at all. I didn't like how extreme that was and how it disrupted my nervous system to a point of no return.
Yeah.
You know, like being in alignment and knowing what you like and how you like it. I think I was in a bit of a rush for it, Ram, and it caused me more anxiety rather than just, you know, your partner is you need that. I feel like I would need that. I would need someone who is way more up than me so I can somewhat come in the middle.
Yeah.
Because if you were allowed to plan every single element of your life
would be pretty boring, I think.
Right? But you would be planning every morning at 8 a.m. You'd be like, right, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. Because when we're allowed to do something that feels good to us, we kind of run with it, don't we?
Sometimes spontaneity has a place in life, and actually it's actually those moments that make life incredibly exhilarating.
Yeah.
You know, so there is a place for it for sure, but it's not reality to be like that all the time. There's got to be a place for both.
Yeah, but that's where you said about that trying. It's like you know that balance ball you stand on for your abs at the gym.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that.
You got to engage your core to get the balance.
You got to engage your core, and at some point, you're always going to be leaning one side,
one way or the other.
You know, if you do get 5 minutes where you're in the middle, that's your lucky time. Enjoy it, remember it, move on. It's going to be wonky for the rest of the time. End of. Like, it's so interesting, isn't it? Like, I like the fact that I'm at this phase and I accept those things.
Yeah,
it's given me more peace in life. And I'm glad that you've done this with me again. So thank you, because
thanks.
My life's been a roller coaster and a half. The preconceived notions and the killing of dreams are focused on this predominantly on this podcast because I've been really intrigued by the notion of Saturn rising. And Saturn rising is, I think, every sort of 30 to 33, 34 years of our life. Basically, the planets are aligned in the same way they were when we were born. And they're in the same place and the same. So we naturally go through like a transitional period. And everybody gets it. Nobody avoids that, you know. And then later on, you have another one in your 40s. But I don't want to quote what that is because I want to quote incorrectly. But I've been really inspired by that because that has been happening to me recently.
Okay, wow.
The change of notions of life, what I thought it was, what it is actually, and what it's going to be, and how I'm going to deal with that. So thank you so much for sharing. It's not easy, especially when we know some people that are close to us might see it, and you know, it's quite a vulnerable thing to do. So I appreciate you revealing a lot of family insights and things about your partner. It's not easy, but you would have done a big service to a lot of other women like us.
Oh, that's it. It's looking at the bigger picture. You can't always please people. And the thing is, you know, if people get disturbed or unsettled by what you're saying and what you're sharing, it's actually a wound in them that's coming out. It's their stuff. It's nothing to do with me or you or anyone else. If you're being true to what you're saying and sharing with people, that's the bigger picture. That, you know, we just going back to what I said before about making a difference. That's the bigger picture. There may be a young girl or guy even listening to this and being like, my God, I've just been telling myself a story all these years that life has to be a certain way. And they're listening to this episode, and they're like, no, but it doesn't need to be a certain way. I'm the creator of how it turns out. And if I could be an advocate to that, definitely.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me share. And thank you for sharing your time with me as well.
Thank you. And we're going to do more. I know we're going to do more. Yeah, I mean, you've got season 2, which I've obviously invited myself on.
Oh, yes, girl. I need you back on it.
I'm not doing seasons because I'm way too neurodivergent to organize it like that. Okay. What will be, and whoever will see it will see it.
That's it. That's exactly it. And, that's the attitude I have with my podcast as well, though. I could really get into the nitty gritty and do the whole algorithm thing. This is something that I try to avoid personally. There might be some professionals in that listen to this thinking, no, she's being scared. It's not about being scared. Actually, it's just about being true to what you're doing. My podcast, Get Real with Ram, that's actually me really embracing my creativity. It's funny. The funniest thing about it and how it all materialized is I do talk a lot. I'll put my hands up. I talk a lot. I'm the friend or the person that people literally mock, and you're like, oh, voice note quitting on WhatsApp. What is it? 9 minutes, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And, and I'm like, listen, what's funny is you take the time to listen to it. So it can't be that bad.
Right. So you push me for feedback. I give you 9 minutes of feedback and you don't want it.
And by the way, it isn't always 9 minutes, but what I'm saying is I can talk a lot. And what's funny is my sister's partner had said to me a couple of years ago, you know what, you should do a podcast. And it was literally a light bulb moment. I was like, you know what? No one's actually ever said that to me before. So I started looking into it, and fortunately had the help of my sister's mate who's into film and recording and stuff, and definitely gave me an insight on how to do it all. And I was like, I've been telling myself the story that I'm not capable of doing it. Again, even after everything that I've learned, there's still that voice that tells you you're not going to do it, or you're not capable. And actually, I'm more than capable. Anyone is more than capable of doing anything. And so whoever decides to listen to my episodes or not, that's on you. The right people will engage at the right time, and that message will get across to who it needs to get across to. And that's it.
That's right. That's right. And just on that note, I always have this vision, right? It's constantly come to me since I was a child. In Lion King, do you remember when there was I believe it was a piece of dust or a feather, and it made Simba sneeze or something, and it went off, and it went through all these terrains. It went through everywhere because the wind just took it. And it ended up being a part of like a bird's nest or whatever, and a part of that went on, and I believe it went back to one of Nala or one of the girls there, and that same piece hit them. And those two characters were completely unaware that that piece of dust or flower, whatever it was, had gone through all of that and actually touched another individual that they were yearning for.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. So that's how I see you not chasing the algorithm.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. And
yeah, I'll be wherever I'm going to be, Yeah. I just want to say as well, I know a lot of people don't allow themselves to connect with manifestation and universal energy, but there is a place for it, which is why a lot of people are talking about it more. You're saying you're drawn more to understanding, the Saturn rising and stuff like that, and then there's moon energy and all this sort of stuff that people are bringing to the attention now, because there is a place for it, whether you believe in it or not. I am a true believer in manifestation, and actually even more so surrendering. And affirmations that you say to yourself, you don't need to share them with anyone. Even writing therapy, write down on a piece of paper what you enjoy and what you give yourself credit for. What are you good at? And it's not about vanity or ego or pride. It's actually recognizing the qualities that life has given you and what you're going to do with them.
Yeah. And affirming them to yourself will slowly get rid of the uncertainty.
Yeah.
That's true.
You, right? The first time that I spoke to you, I knew that you had a voice. I knew it. It did not surprise me that you were going to come out with your own channel. I was like, you need to. You've got a lot to share.
I remember you saying, we stopped recording, guys, and Ram goes, you need to talk more.
Yeah, I'm like, you need to get out.
Where? Yeah. I was like, what do you mean? Like, how? I've been told my whole life to shut the fuck up. So now you're telling me
No
to
way.
talk.
This is gold dust. This is what I'm saying. It's like, and I'm sure you've got so many other qualities about you, but talking is a very big quality to have, because a lot of people don't know where their voice is, and they don't know how to use it.
Oh yeah.
You know? So I just think, yeah, manifestation, surrendering, and just focusing on the things that you enjoy and you're good at.
Yeah. And affirming them will build your confidence in you. No one is going to come and have a little tea bag of confidence, make you that tea and feed it to you. Like, no. It is a practice. It is. And unfortunately, you know, especially I only can refer to the South Asian background because it's what I know. I'm not dismissing any other backgrounds. Sure. But we, as women in the South Asian background, we're sort of predisposition. We're still getting rid of that cultural thing where we are put down, we are belittled, we are told that what we want to do outside of the traditional structures is a waste of time, it's not productive, and you're not giving the right energy to the people that you should be. They decide all this for you. Yeah. And I see me and Ram as basically the first generation that is not just unhappy with it, we're actually doing something about what we're unhappy about. Yeah. Not unhappy and clinical depression. Unhappy and action. Yeah, exactly. So we will have a choice. We need to use it. We owe it to them to use it. Definitely. And if you can't be honest with yourself and ask yourself what you're good at, ask your friends and family. Just be open. Just be like, look, I need you to help me figure out myself a little bit. Like, tell me 5 qualities about myself. You know? You know what? That is actually a really interesting and intimate exercise you can do with your close peeps. Yeah. Because they will tell you, if you're having an honest, you know, just tell me, describe me in 5 words or tell me something. And the right people, guys, they won't think you're doing it out of vanity. They won't judge you. They will genuinely answer you. So if anyone responds to you like, what you want me to tell you, they're not your people. Yeah, you need to change that energy up right there and then. Yeah, you don't want that energy. Yeah, but I do love that. Yeah, ask people, get more of a vision, because remember, our eyes are stuck inside our skull. We do not have a self view like that. This is it. This is a big problem, isn't it, at the moment? Yeah. And I think sometimes we need a bit of assistance to see ourselves. Oh, wow. And I do realize, like, the people that have been holding the mirrors up, they're not been trustworthy. Right? And that is where what I feel in my experience is where I'm finding that difficult way to, how do I strive forward outside of what I've been indoctrinated into? Because sometimes when you go all the way too far, you're not doing the stay in the middle. You're not becoming water. You're actually becoming a rebellious energy to your cause. Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to be rebellious. Is burning energy. I might be a fire sign, but I don't like burning things to shit. No, it needs to be light, and it just needs to feel a lot more balanced. And you get this by putting your energy in the right places. Yeah, definitely. And don't be afraid, I would say, anyone who's listening to this, because the first thing used to come to my head is, what's the right place then? You know, well, the thing is, that's the beautiful thing about life, is there is no right or wrong. You've just got to figure out for yourself, and it will be right for you. Even if it's actually usually what's not right for other people is right for you. But you got to try it. Yeah. You got to try it. You might try it and be like, oh, thinking, what if? You don't want to be sitting there thinking, what if? No. It's too short for that. You know, tomorrow isn't promised. And I know that's such a cliche saying, but it is so true. And the more life goes on and the more people around you are, you know, going through stuff and whatever, you're reminded of it even more. And you're just like, oh my God, like, what am I going to change about my life that I've been so scared of all this time? Or what is it about my life that I like? What is it about my life that I don't like? What am I going to do to change it? Yeah. No one can do it for you. It's got to come from you. You'll have help around you, sure, but
it's ultimately your choice how your life pans out.
And just to reinforce, it is your choice. No matter how mentally and emotionally it might be delivered to you that it's not, it really, truly is.
Yeah.
And like we talked about earlier, being in alignment and going for what you believe in with your dignity and self-respect and your communication intact, it will only develop respect in the circle it needs to be developed in. Everyone else will fall away like dead leaves on a tree.
Yeah.
And that's normal. It's normal to feel the uncomfortability of changing your life. It's normal to feel the sadness of people falling away from your journey because they're not meant to be there. I think even though I've said, oh, you make it look really easy, I cannot imagine the pain and the heartache, the tears, the self-talk, the dark moments you have to cross to get to this.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God, lots of that and more. But it's worth it in the end.
It is worth it. And I think this has been really, really great. And I think to summarize, I really want to reinforce that change is actually great, even if it doesn't result in what your notion of the result was. It's not supposed to. That's not life's job. Life's job isn't to be like, oh my God, let me give her what she expected and then she can be comfortable. You know, go do that thing that makes you uncomfortable, because you'll know after that, I'm never doing that again, or I'm never letting this go.
Yeah.
You know, you won't know until you put yourself in that position. And there are girls out here that are doing it, and they're doing it with dignity and respect and fun and love and peace. So if you want to make positive changes in your life, come and check out our podcasts. We'll tell you how to do it.
That's it. And yeah, you know, guys, you want to be staying in tune with Get Real with Ram as well, because this one will definitely be back on the series, that's for sure.
Yeah, I love it. Guys, check it out. I'll link it underneath anyway. And we're going to continue to hopefully just keep popping up on each other's things, because our conversations flow real naturally.
Yeah, totally.
It's a wonderful thing. So thank you so much.
You've got some beautiful energy, girl. Keep it up. And thank you again for having me on. And to anyone that's listening, we really hope we've brought some light to your current situations. And just remember, you're worth it and you're capable of anything you put your mind to.
That's right. And literally nothing kills you.
That's it.
Nothing kills you. Making a decision from your heart, it will just result in another door or another wave that you were meant to be on. And it's okay. Brilliant. Exactly. Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Ram. It's been amazing.
You're welcome. So much love for you.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait for season 2. Make it deep and heavy. I feel like it's going to be.
Some exciting stuff's coming. Stay tuned.
Can't wait. Okay, babe. Well, thank you so much.
And, no worries.
I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.